They were called the people of the sun and believed that they were elected by their tribal god to carry out the destiny of the world. Guided by this religious imperative, the Aztecs fought their way to domination of the Western Hemisphere. They exacted tribute from over 30 other city-states. In 1519, ruled by the priest-king Montezuma, they were at the zenith of their power. But on April 22nd of that year, a small army of 508 soldiers, led by Conquistador Hernan Cortez, landed on the shore of Mexico. Why did Montezuma refuse to fight this enemy that would ultimately imprison him and change the face of the New World? Montezuma, king of the Aztecs, is about to meet his destiny. It is the 8th of November, 1519, and it is one of the most unusual confrontations in all of history. He believes he is meeting a god. But this god is in the form of Conquistador Hernan Cortez, who had reached Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire, by a combination of shrewd strategy and a mystical confidence that his time in history has arrived. At his side is the Indian woman known as La Malinche, who is his translator and a key to his understanding of the Indian people. Today, in the center of Mexico, workers are uncovering the great temple of the Aztecs. The site was discovered by chance in 1978, and both as a structure and as a symbol is the most important single site in the Aztec world. Dr. David Carrasco is a professor at the University of Colorado.
The Aztecs lived in the north, in a place called Chicomostoc, or the place of seven caves, and there their god Huitzilopochtli appeared to the shaman priest in a dream, telling the priest that he should move the people to another location, and that location would be marked by an omen in the landscape. And there they were told that if they built their city in this place, their city would be the queen of all other cities in Mexico, to whom people would come as one supreme among all the others. It was at this very spot that the Templo Mayor was built.
The remains of the temple and the few other artifacts that survived the conquest tell us of the awesome power of the Aztecs. Since religion was at the core of their society, their pyramids were built on a scale more fitting of gods than men. The Aztec calendar was invented by priests who were well versed in astronomy, and it was remarkably accurate. More accurate, in fact, than the Roman calendar we use today. Their nobles and priests were schooled in history, religion, and prophecy. They were not only learning from their past, but believed they could predict their future. Their conquests had enabled them to create a world of luxury, and their lush gardens fed their growing armies and put flowers on the tables of their nobility.
The primary sources that we have depict Moctezuma II as a highly sensitive, very spiritual, and deeply concerned Tlatoani, or king, who had a very close relationship to the major deity of the Aztecs, Huitzilopochtli. He carried the influence and the power of Huitzilopochtli in his own heart. He was the spokesman for this great deity.
The Aztecs had a cyclical concept of time. Every 52 years, a new cycle began, and the gods had to be appeased at these crucial periods to assure the continued prosperity of their civilization. The year 1519 was the beginning of a new cycle, and there were ominous signs that their world was in danger.
The Aztecs tell their story of the conquest in a very unusual way. They begin their story of how their world came to an end by telling not how the Spaniards first came to their land, but by telling that there were omens in the sky, signs in their own heavens, which indicated that their world, or their cosmos, was coming to an abrupt and violent end. The first omen that appears is a rip in the sky, which bleeds drop by drop onto the Aztec world, celestial influences. The second omen is a thunderbolt, which hits and burns down the temple of the great god Huitzilopochtli. A number of omens follow which indicate that the Aztecs understood their own collapse as originating with celestial influences, not the presence of Spaniards.
The final omen was the most frightening. One night, throughout Tenochtitlan, a woman's cry was heard. My children, we are lost." It came from everywhere and from nowhere, and the people were afraid.
It is an eerie fact that the arrival of Cortez was foretold by the Aztec prophecies. Irony and coincidence played instrumental parts in the collision of these two great cultures. It was as though some guiding force had arranged the elements of this great drama, which the characters then acted out. We have records of this historic event in a personal account written by Bernal Diaz, a soldier in Cortez' army, and in the colorful picture writings of the Aztecs themselves. Both cultures seem to confirm the warning of the omens. But Professor James Lockhart has a different interpretation.
The omens tell us mainly what the Aztecs, or the Indians of that area, were thinking many years after the conquest. Most of the ones we have are a generation or generation and a half. They're their attempt to explain what happened. And the kinds of things that we have, astronomical phenomena, strange animals, and the like, are part of a standard repertoire that these people often use to explain bad things that happen to them after the fact.